Good morning. The daily word for Sunday, May 16th is strength, and I read this with permission from the daily word. Divine strength invigorates my body and quickens my mind. If I feel my energy waning during a time of vigorous physical or mental activity, if my get up and go has got up and gone, I remember these inspiring words from the Prayer of Faith by Hannah Moore Kohas. God is my strength, unfailing quick. The strength of God is my strength, and it's more than sufficient to meet my every need. More than toughness or forcefulness, spiritual strength is quiet fortitude, a rootedness in the inexhaustible wellspring of the divine. Today I release all thought of weakness or impossibility. I feel the power of divine strength flowing through me, invigorating my body, and bringing renewed clarity to my thoughts. The strength of God is my strength. And from 1 Corinthians 1, verse 25, for God's foolishness is wiser than human wisdom, and God's weakness is stronger than human strength. And these are the words of the daily word. Amen.
Good morning, friends. This is Reverend Toni Boehm, and this is part 2 of Rumi as a spiritual teacher. Just to recap, Rumi was a 13th century Persian mystic, and was a mystic as an arm of the Muslim faith. And Rumi was quite the prolific writer and sharer of deep, deep wisdom. And I love to share of Rumi. I've used Rumi in several of the books that I've written because he has such a passion for life and a passion for really touching into the human condition and overcoming it and working through it. He really gets that life at times is not easy, but there is a way to learn to dance at the edge of mystery, to be in surrender, to glean the gold from the lessons. I'm going to start with something from Rumi that's called True Consciousness. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite. He says, true consciousness has two wings, opinion only one. Opinion is riddled with faults and its flight is short. A bird with one wing will fall flat on its face. Even if it fights to get up, it will fly only a few yards. The bird of opinion rising and falling like this continually is only using one wing in its attempt to fly home. When this bird has freed from opinion, however, consciousness will show its face, and the bird of one wing will be graced with two and stretch them out grandly, and it will take flight with two wings. First time I read this, it touched my soul because it really is. True consciousness has two wings. When we're really in that space of living in the center of divine paradox, the capacity, developing the capacity to be in the center of divine paradox, to take that breath and know that nothing and no one is against me. Nothing and no one can upset me except that as I allow. Wow. Sometimes, friends, that's really difficult to learn and to remember. But that power and that presence of learning that lesson changes your life completely. Because again, what we know is where attention goes, energy flows. And friends, energy doesn't lie. If you're upset all the time, if you're angry, if you're not happy, if you're constantly complaining, where attention goes, energy flows. And energy doesn't lie. So true consciousness has two wings, opinion only one. That's such a powerful, because when we're in opinion, we're often, I believe here that Rumi's using opinion like judgment, that we're often in judgment. And when we're judging things, we really can't be present to the essence of them or to the essence of what's happening, because we've already made up our mind, like a steel trap. This is it. I know what's going on and I'm done. How often have we done that in life when there was grand possibility all around us, but we didn't see it? We didn't see it because we had closed ourselves to it. You know, when we use only one wing, when we live by opinion and judgment and attachment and resistance and anger and upset and those kind of things, we're not able to soar in the heavens of spirituality. It keeps us stuck, keeps us grounded in, not grounded in a good way, it keeps us grounded to earth so that we can't move forward or move on. But when we learn to free ourselves from opinion and judgment and resistance, and it takes practice, friends, it does. It takes practice to learn to dance at the edge of mystery. It's a surrender. Dancing at the edge of mystery is a surrender. Moving into conscious neutrality is a surrender. One of the ways that I've learned to move through these things, several things actually, is asking more empowering questions of myself. Like stopping and saying in the moment, so Toni, what meaning are you giving this? Remember, you're a meaning-making machine. Is that who you want to be? Do you want to be a meaning-making machine? Making meaning out of things that happened to you 20 years ago? Oh, this person upset me because they remind me of my Uncle Joe, and I didn't like my Uncle Joe. And he used to talk to me like that. And here the person hasn't even said anything. They just remind you of Uncle Joe. So that's that meaning-making aspect of our brain, where we make meaning out of past events, past memories. And often things haven't even happened now. We're just making meaning because something's been triggered. I know this. I have an Aunt Jeannie who I just loved. And I've met several people. I met a woman down in Texas. She's in Corpus Christi. I took one look at her and I just said to her, I said, you remind me of my Aunt Jeannie. I know I'm going to love you already. In that moment, that was actually opinion on past memory. Well, it just so happened this woman was delightful. but it colored my thinking in the moment. And when I reflected back on that, it was like in that moment, in those moments, when we do that, we often give people a lot of power over us because we believe that we know who we are without ever allowing them to show us who they are. So it's that idea of meaning making. So ask an empowering question. What meaning am I giving to this? Here's another empowering question. What's more interesting? What's more interesting, Toni, than being upset, being angry? What's more interesting? Well, my answer is always peace in my heart. Peace in my heart. So, Toni, then what do you have to do? What do you have to do in this moment to shift, to have peace in your heart, to be present to everything going on, not discounting it, but to being present, to having peace in your heart so that the decisions that you are going to make in this moment are being made from a place, a space, an energy field that holds the highest possibility. Because, friends, when we drop down into what I like to call third dimensional survival gut reaction, we're not making decisions from the highest level at all. We're making decisions that will probably end up taking us deeper and deeper into negativity. I call it going down the rabbit hole, but taking us into negativity. And you know what? We don't want to go there. Just like in the Wizard of Oz, the forest and the sign. I wouldn't come here if I was you. So, and I often see that in my mind, and I go, I wouldn't go in there if I were you. So we want to make those conscious choices because remember, yes and no are powerful, powerful words. Master teacher Jesus said, let your yeses be yes and your nos be no. So when you're in the moment, what do you want to say yes to? Do you want to say yes to staying centered? Or do you want to say yes to going into that field of negativity, which, as where attention goes, energy flows, is going to bring back to you more negativity? So we always want to be thinking about, where do we ultimately want this to end up? So in those moments, what meaning, what might be more interesting? Both neutralizing concepts in the moment that you can use. So you take that deep breath. What am I making this mean? What am I making this mean? Just think about that. All right. So that's about the bird with two wings. Because when we have two wings, we can fly and we can soar. The next thing from Rumi is the sublime art of gathering in. And again, I want you to really think about these words. Listen deeply, listen intently. If in the winter, trees do not put out leaves, I'm sorry, let me start again. If in winter, trees do not put out leaves and bear fruit, does that mean they're idle? Of course not. They are always at work. Winter is a season of gathering in. Summer, the season of giving. Everyone sees the giving, but not the gathering in. In the mystical life, gathering in is prayer and silent contemplation and adoration and thanksgiving. Giving is the performing acts of love and justice in the world. Breathe in through worship the majestic peace, bliss, and strength of the Most High. Breathe out in loving action the power that has been bestowed on you by the beloved. Wow, talk about a mystic. That, my friends, is a powerful thought. If in the winter trees do not produce fruit, are they being lazy? Are they being idle? Are they doing nothing? If in those moments where you decide to meditate, which of course for me is a daily practice and is part of what we need to do as part for spiritual practice to grow. In those moments of meditation when you're being quiet and contemplating, does that mean you're doing nothing? Or what about I've had these periods in my life where nothing was going right, and I realized, whoa, maybe it's time to just stop and wait. Just wait for spirit to give me my next step, to tell me what I need to do next, versus me running around trying to get things accomplished. Those winter periods, friends, those gathering in periods are very important to our life. Remember, we just talked about the bird with two wings. They're one of the two wings. The gathering in time is one of the two wings. And then there's the time of giving out, of sharing, of performing acts of love, of sacred service. When I'm doing board training with leaders and the board and other interested parties, I always talk about sacred service and what it means to our soul. And I ask the question, why are you in service in your spiritual community? Why are you in service in your spiritual community? Oh, and people will say, oh, the ministry's given me so much, I want to give back. I felt it was time. I thought it was necessary. And I always say, I don't think so. Those are noble, noble truths of why. But the real why is because on some level, friends, you have said yes. At a soul level, you said yes to spiritual growth. That's why we go into service, into acts of service, because we have said yes on a soul level. And this is then how we're going to learn our lessons. Because one of the things I've seen in sacred service, and I've now been in sacred service for many, many years in regards, and sacred service is conscious service dedicated and committed to soul transformation of self and of others, because that's what happens, friends. When you say yes to sacred service, you're going to meet all kinds of people who are going to bring joy and people who are going to trigger you. And it's all part of the practice. It's all part of the practice of learning how to be in that space of conscious neutrality. So we've had another lesson from Rumi today. And what I leave you with is to remember, in those times where things seem to be going awry, stop, pause, breathe, ask yourself some empowering questions. What meaning am I giving to this? What might be more interesting? And then also remember, you don't have to run around all the time doing. There is a wing called being, and we must take time to gather in. Gathering in is not fruitless. It is just as powerful as giving the fruit of the blessings of service. So I leave you with that as practical application to go forth this week and stop and pause when something triggers you and practice the empowering questions. God bless you all. And now let us move into meditation. Close your eyes, drop down into your heart space. Breathe in and out. in and out, consciously bringing your attention into this space of awareness, into this place where the Christ resides, the Christ energy, into that field of energy that you can consciously tap into, that moves you and breathes through you. I am this field of energy. I am this field of radiant, luminous, brilliant light. And whatever you may have came with today, whatever concern or issue, finances, a need for an answer to a question, health, wholeness, life. Allow the Christ of your being to be present in you, as you, through you. There's only one presence and one power in this universe. And that presence and power lives in every cell of my being. That presence and power lives in every cell of my being. And let us take that truth into the silence. Taking a breath, we come out of the silence, knowing that we know that we know that we know that the truth of my being is anchored in the Christ consciousness, and that no matter what happens to me around me, I am centered and calm in the Christ mind. I am centered and calm in the Christ mind. And so it is. Matol de lahe makuta, wahaila wateshbukta, la alam, amin, amen. Forever and ever, it is so. God bless you.
Hello, Unity family. So, thought I would give a little introduction to this next original song that I'm going to do. Something I actually wrote back in September of 1999, so many years ago. I really haven't performed it many times, if ever. But during that time, one of the things I was doing is I was taking psalms directly from Scripture and trying to set them kind of to my own music. So this is one of those. This is Psalm 13, which I believe is a Psalm of David, and does kind of start out a little dark because David was struggling, as most of us do in our lives. But there's also the other side of it, where while he's asking how long until you give me an answer, on the other side of it he says, but I will trust in your unfailing love. And so that's what this song is about, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. How long, oh Lord, will you ways from me. How long, O Lord, must I wrestle with my thoughts, and every day have sorrow in my heart? How long will the enemy triumph over me? Look on me, O Lord, please give me an answer. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. My enemy will say, I have overcome him, and all my foes will rejoice when I fall. How long will my enemy triumph over me? But I will trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, for he has been good to me. I will trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord. Still I will sing to the Lord, for he has been